Okay, so what we have here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Intex split hoses. We're going to start with the worst one, and then the best one, and then the intermediate ones. Okay, so this is the worst one. It's made by YT Pools with 3 O's spelled. Okay, so this is YT Pools. So the problem with this guy is that it doesn't work, or it barely works, and it's very difficult to thread your hose onto it because it binds immediately. So when you have the other 2 hoses applying pressure on this guy, then it's very difficult for you to actually know that your threads are either misaligned or they're actually binding because the threads are no good. And you can hear it as it threads. Okay. Eventually we go to the end, and this part doesn't have the gaskets, which kind of reduces the depth of the color. So you don't have to thread as much. So now we're going to have a little bit of workout on threading this. Okay, the gaskets are very short on all of them except this one, which is the best one. And they're very hard. They don't have ductility, okay? So I'm going to just show you this one from YT Pools. It fits just nicely in the 6-way valve if you want to replace yours that you already have because whatever reason, okay? And these are the Intex original gaskets, okay? As you can see, they're soft, okay? They have ductility, okay? Whereas this guy, I can't do that. I can't squish it. So that concludes the worst of them, YT Pools. If you compare them, it seems like the materials are different because the colors are different, or they didn't apply dyes. Yeah, and this seems to be made with a different manufacturing machine or dyes or whatever compared with this guy. Because this, as you can see here, the thread ends here, whereas this guy, the threads end differently. Okay, there are no other threads. Now we're going to look at Pesky Little Problems, okay, which is my favorite one, right? And so basically it says the same thing as on the box. You have barcodes, okay, and then you have instructions on how to put silicone grease on the gaskets if you didn't know that. So the gaskets are actually very nice. Alright, so they're thick and they're soft and they have ductility. Similarly to the Intex gaskets. The base is a little thicker in the white gaskets than the Intex gaskets. Okay, and they fit just snugly in the 6-way valve, okay, in case you may need to use these. Okay, the Intex gaskets, they fit a little tighter, but nevertheless they fit. Okay, so they don't fall off. Now if we test the threading, and I'm going to test with the color, okay, not with the hose, because I want to demonstrate how easily this threads all the way through. Okay, so if you look, the finish is nice on these, and the shine, except the markings from whatever machine this is. Right, the gaskets are nice, everything is kind of okay about these guys. Now we're going to look at the 3 that come from 3 different brands in 3 different stores. So we have Palpitate C, branded by Palpitate C, so the storefront is the same name as the brand. Then you have Pokian, and which is the brand. In the store, I think it's either PowerLink or Tabashuna. And then you have Alox, which is either sold by PowerLink and Tabashuna. Now, they're identical. Like, these 2 are identical. To me, there's no difference. Even the thread placement is the same. So if you look at the thread ends, they seem to be ending, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they end at the same spot. Okay, so let me think here. So they're aligned the same way, and the threads end in the same spot. So to me, this seems to be the same machine that makes these ones, and basically branded by 3 different brands and sold in 3 different stores, but they're the same manufacturer. So the gaskets, they have defects, but nevertheless they will probably still work, because I haven't tested them in an actual pool. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, these endings, they're in all the gaskets. They're thin, the bases are thin. Let me see here if I can use this for contrast and focus. So the bases are thin. They're actually thinner than Intex, or maybe they're the same. I don't know. They seem the same. They fit in the 6-way valve, but they have a little slide. Okay, so they don't fit snugly. When it comes to threading, the threads are quite good. Okay, they don't have a problem. The only problem is that the threads, they're kind of machined in, and there's a bit of jiggling at the beginning, or like to get it, you know. And with the with the collar without the hose, it's much easier to align it. Okay, but when you have pressure from the other hoses, it's much more difficult. There's a bit of binding, as you can hear it. Okay, now there's a binding. So there's binding in all 3 ends, but it's, I would say, almost negligible. So basically the beginning of the threads, it might pose a little bit of a challenge, and then after that, a bit of binding, I don't think is going to be, you know, an exceptional problem to overcome. Now let me show you something about Intex hoses and actual non-Intex hoses. So this is an Intex hose, okay, and you can see the inner lip here, okay, and basically this inner lip helps with plunger valves and that have a O-ring that kind of seals the connection from the inside. And I'm just going to show you this is not the fake hose, this is the fake hose, which seems a little more a different hue of color, okay, and it seems to be a little softer. I'm not sure if they cheaped out on material, but the main problem of these hoses, which I got from PowerLink, okay, this is the Intex right here, okay, with the lip, you can see the lip inside, okay, and this is the fake hose. You can see it's a little more rounded on the edges, and it has no lip inside. So if you have plunger valves, they might not work properly. I haven't tested that, but I don't know, this seems to me a bit obvious, okay, that they will not work, because look at this, okay, there's no lip or narrowing of the hose for the inside, so that's a problem. However, this may increase your water flow a little bit. I mean, if you buy from PowerLink, you might get these hoses, and you have to pay attention. about that. And that concludes our show with my favorite Intex split hose.